pleasure is mine. So you are in Hyderabad. How Hyderabad is treating you during this lockdown? I'm sure you are making full advantage of your free time. You're trying to find some balance between home as well as your office. You would have called your colleagues and your workers today while at home.
Yeah,
Why don't you share your
yeah,
experience?
yeah. So CK, I think I feel this lockdown has been a blessing in disguise, because obviously for multiple reasons. A, we never consciously take time to spend time with family and all of that, right? I mean, you know how it is. You yourself have been a very successful entrepreneur, so you know. I mean, you're like 24/7 on job. So A, it has been good because we are able to kind of do a little bit of work-life balance. B, you can focus on a lot of your personal projects. Like you're doing, I'm also kind of doing a 21-day talk show on LinkedIn, where we are talking about what people should do in these 21 days. And the last thing is, my book is in the final phase of launch. I'm authoring a book on growth marketing, so I've been having a lot of time to redo the edits and all that. So it has been a phenomenal time so far.
Amazing, Raghav. So you're workaholic as ever, even though you're so successful. Uh, I know you have also you were associated at one point in time with United Nations. So, but the drive is driving you, I think, and you're making
Yeah.
use of the lockdown, and the lockdown is not stopping you.
Yes, yes.
So, what do you think will happen? Because now is day 4, and we got another 18, 17 days to go.
Yeah.
What do you feel? How people will react? Uh, because last 4 days we have been working. I think
Yeah.
people like you and me are working. You are
Yeah.
fully dressed up. I'm fully dressed up, suited, booted, even on a weekend, and we are utilizing our time.
Yeah.
But what do you think after some days, like 10 days or 15 days? What impact this lockdown will have on the psychology of people?
So couple of things, CK. One is, like you said, people who are in IT fraternity, people like us, people who are doing a lot of consulting, or people who are working with customers overseas and all of that, they are somehow able to still juggle with this lockdown. But people who are not into the core IT, and people who need to be physically present at work, are facing the heat. I think the initial first week is still okay, because it's like a warm up period where they are still enjoying spending time with their spouse, their kids, their parents. But I think the real challenge will starting next week. And while it is a great move from our honorable PM in terms of requesting people to lock down, I mean, if you see the curve, it still hasn't taken up. We are in week 4. The curve still remains flat. It has been a great move to control the spread of the pandemic, but unfortunately, I think people will start getting a little worked up as we move further in this. So the only thing that probably I would recommend is people who are able to work from home, like yourself, like me, and like all other most of the IT employees, great. And people who cannot can probably utilize these 21 days, to sharpen the saw, or to probably pick up a new skill and learn a new language, things like that.
So, what do you think this lockdown or this pandemic, which has created, social distancing, physical social distancing, but we are closer than ever because the internet and the broadband is bringing us together. So, what do you think? Is there going to be a change in the way we do business?
Absolutely, absolutely, CK. So that's a brilliant question. Actually, the whole paradigm or the landscape of the way business is done is going to change, and it will not be same ever. The reason why I'm saying this, if you look at a lot of these online, communication and collaboration tools, right? Whether it is a Microsoft Teams, whether it is a Skype, or even a WhatsApp video calling, I think people were restricting it either to their personal use or to communicate and collaborate within the teams. But today, if you look at it, it is being used world over. Like, for example, I mean, along with you, and I'm also an active member of World Economic Forum, and we had a call last night to discuss about how this whole thing is going to have impact worldwide. We had close to 60 plus people joining on the teams from almost like 11 odd countries, and we kind of didn't feel that we were in a lockdown situation and things like that. And like you rightly said, I think this is going to be the tipping point for technology to take over. And a lot of companies will now realize that with the right communication and collaboration tools, people can work from any part of the world.
So I think there is going to be an opportunity for innovative people, innovative companies to come out with new solutions for office, for schools, for different walks of life. I think I personally believe that 21 days lockout is not sufficient. I think this will proceed for some more time.
Yeah, absolutely. So 21 days will not help. If you look at Maharashtra, yesterday announced the lockdown to be continued till end of April. It was till mid of April. Now it has been pushed to end of April. The Telangana state is also contemplating. We have a press meet on Monday, and hopefully we will get to know on when, to what extent will it be extended. I think, like you rightly predicted, it will be probably extended by another 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
So until that time, the entrepreneurs like you and me and many others, colleagues in the industry, we cannot sit and wait and watch. So I think the innovation has to come forward. New ways of doing things have to be evolved. I think we are at a tipping point where the evolution will take over.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt. I mean, like you rightly said, people just cannot take this lockdown as a holiday. I mean, like you said, I personally have been working extra hours since the time the lockdown has happened, because now you don't have the hassle of traveling in the traffic, reaching office and doing all that. And whatever extra hours I get, I kind of enjoy doing my personal gigs. Like I'm like working on the book, working on few other podcasts. This is a great opportunity that I get to talk to you. I mean, I think it's been like what 4 years that we met, and look what lockdown did. It brought us together, and we are having a nice chat today. So I think, yeah, it's going to be great.
Great, Raghav. I think people in Hyderabad remain indoors and remain safe. I wish you all the best with your book, which is going to be launched very, very soon. And I wish you all the best with your endeavors, which you're running in your group companies. Uh, but we have still a lockdown to live through. So I will catch up with you after a few more days to check on you, how things are. Until then, I would like to say goodbye to you for today at least.
Thank you so much, CK. Thanks for the opportunity. And, I loved our conversation. And likewise, I mean, I know you're doing a lot of great things and helping a lot of customers with their marketing, sales journey, accelerating their growth. So I wish you all the best, and, let the force be with you and do great work. And yeah, I look forward to catching up with you again soon. Take care.
Take care, Raghav. Bye bye.
Bye.
Hello, friends. This is Chandra from Akulmach Technologies, and today I would like to draw your attention to the emails that your company or organization is sending to thousands and thousands and thousands of prospective buyers, and the return on investment on sending such emails is less than 0.0001%. All these emails are getting deleted. I personally delete hundreds of emails every day. I'm sure you're also deleting hundreds of emails. Some of the companies have set up the spam engines which filter all these emails out. Yet, most of the industry feels that this is the only mechanism to grow your business, by sending emails, by flooding somebody email boxes, by talking about your technology, your white paper, etc. At the same time, as a organization, we also need to understand what market needs, and it's not what we are selling. So we have to bring to certain agreement between the buyer or seller, or demand or supply, where we bring these two parties together, where the demand is fulfilled by the supply. And it is not necessarily means that you keep sending emails. By sending thousands and thousands of emails every day, every week, you start generating business leads out of that. The reality is the cost of sending five email today in today's money is more than $2 to $3. And then suppose you send 50,000 emails, probably you will receive responses from only 100. So the efficiency of the system is now going down. I think the time has come for organizations to look at alternative methods of generating your sales leads. Then another thing that has happened in the field, that is the emergence of Me Too service providers, because the cost of providing different services and different sort of new generation activities, the time has come to also rethink their strategy in terms of how all
Growing
different
businesses need a
companies want to
hosting
position
solution.
themselves. If it is sort of a Me Too email that is going out, the chances are your email will get deleted. So the requirement of today's world is not to send emails by finding out new methods of communication with your prospects. Number two, offer something which is which is very appealing and it is not Me Too. So you have to look at what are you doing today and where you want to achieve, and by doing these activities that you are doing to achieve your goal. So to order to address these issues, we have created a platform which will solve many of these challenges, and it will give you a platform which will allow you to be more creative. You can reach out to your clients without spending a dime. You can reach out to your prospects without collecting the building client database, building expensive sales and marketing campaigns. You can still appeal to them. The platform website is listed here, as you can see where my finger is. So I encourage you to visit this website and explore. This is a very low cost method where you can reach out to your prospects. You can create a differential for yourself. Um you can be non-intrusive. You can be creative. You can come out with new methods of communication rather than sending a HTML based emails using your CRMs and so on and so forth. So with these small messages, I would like to talk few things about my platform. The platform has two main features. One is it allows you to share your success stories and your ideas of innovation and so on and so forth, which necessarily may not be related to what you're offering. Because if you sell yourself, if you sell your idea, it will result in in a business for you where you can actually pitch in what you have. So you can actually think creatively and come out with an offering which is appealing to the prospects. So this platform allows you to do that. Second thing is it also allows you to uh, your prospects to reach out to you directly without need of sending emails and building campaigns and building databases and so on and so forth. So it's a very intuitive method, low cost method to reach out to your prospects and also to your client, and it's non-intrusive, and you can come out with new methods of reaching, because you may think you would like to talk about your innovation. You may like to address your clients by way of a video. You would like to talk about your innovation in a group discussion, or you want to just write a lot of words and you distribute these documents. So all these things are available in our platform. So I um, invite you to experience this. Come to this website, explore functionality. Just in case if you have any question, reach out to me. My emails are also listed in the website, and then we can have a conversation. I will be more than happy to bring you on board. I will personally help you to get on board, how to use these functionality which are provided in the platform, and you can be more successful without spending a lot of money. So, with this small message, I will look forward to you joining my platform, which will help you reduce your cost, increase your business, and it will give you avenue of reaching out to new prospects in a new way. Thank you so much, and I look forward to working with you.
Hello, friends. This is Chandrakant from Akulmach Technologies, and welcome to Top Brass. In today's session of Top Brass, we have a very distinguished personality joining us from Texas today, and she is the chief penguin of IBM. Her name is Melissa. Melissa, welcome to Top Brass.
Thank you.
So, Melissa, I think you work with a lot of entrepreneurs globally, and you also work with a lot of youth programs across the world in many countries. And I think today we wanted to pick your brains about digital skills because you work with all types of people, young, privileged, underprivileged, entrepreneurs, even web technology companies in many countries. So, what is the major skills that is required for all the people going forward from here?
So I have a framework that is my favorite framework, and I actually pulled it up on my phone here. Um, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just show you what I'm looking at. Can you see that? Can you see that? All right, cool. Maybe you can't see exactly what's on there, but I use something that, and I'm going to walk you through it. So if you see me looking down a bit, if you see me kind of grabbing my phone, I'm not texting at the same time. I think the reason why I have this out in front of me is because it's my favorite framework. Now, where did I get this framework? How did this come about? My PhD research is on the digital inclusion of underrepresented and underserved communities. And I focus on a gamut of skills that people need in order to make meaningful use of the internet. So that's generating outcomes, whether that's economic outcomes, educational outcomes, or that's just a matter of being safe online, right? And I spent several years researching all of the frameworks that exist on the planet, and which kind of leads into one of the positions that I have in the world, which is with the IEEE. And so I'm the chair of the Digital Skills Working Group, or the Digital Intelligence Working Group within IEEE, the largest engineering organization on the planet, 400,000 members worldwide. And throughout this literature review for both my academic career as well as my chair position within the IEEE, I identified what I consider to be my most favorite framework. I don't own the framework. I didn't create the framework. I really kind of looked across the world and identified what I would consider and what IEEE is in the process of doing is what I would consider a standard definition of what it means to be digitally intelligent. So we've heard of emotional intelligence, right? Daniel Goleman's research that looks at, how do you manage yourself? How do you manage your relationships? How do you identify, emotional factors in others? We look at intelligence and we track these things, right? We have a definition for what it means. We measure it. We calculate it. And if you think about literacy, we have a definition for what that means, right? We track it, we measure it. We know in India, for example, the percentage of people who are literate. And forgive me, I can't remember the number. That said, we all know it exists. We report out on it from a World Bank perspective, from the UN, countries, villages, schools, and people, right? But think about it. If digital literacy is the new literacy, we should have a framework and a definition. I'm not sure if anyone knows this, but we do not. Even the UN doesn't have a standard definition of what it means to be digitally intelligent. They have put out, meaning UNESCO put out a report some time ago with a number of different frameworks. It didn't include my framework. So what I did, well, the framework that I identified. And so what I did is I wrote a piece for the UN High-Level Panel for Digital Cooperation, which is headed up by Jack Ma and Melinda Gates, with advisory support and leadership from Vint Cerf, the father of the internet, chief internet strategist at Google. And I wrote this piece. You can find it online through the coalition or through the, again, the UN High-Level Panel for Digital Cooperation. You can find that by Googling that plus my name and it'll come up. And I pointed out how the world needs to rally around a framework of what this means. And by the way, here is another framework that wasn't considered in some of the pieces. And I've heard some rumblings that perhaps it's either already been released or will be released, including this additional framework. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to walk you through the framework. Again, this is a framework that was created by the DQ Institute, which is based out of Singapore. They, along with me in my advisory position within the IEEE, the OECD, and the World Economic Forum, have come together to create what's called the Coalition for Digital Intelligence, thus adopting this framework. So I'm going to start off, by saying there are a lot of what I would consider competencies, and see this as a wheel of competencies. You're going to dial things up and dial things down, depending upon your interest level, depending upon your career, depending upon your academic journey. But it all has, something to kind of rally around in terms of technical competencies, cognitive competencies, metacognitive, and socio-emotional competencies. And there are essentially 3 levels of it. So you consider yourself as, let's say, knowledge that surrounds itself around skills, attitudes, and values. So the first one is digital rights. And digital rights, if you think about this is your rights to be able to participate in the digital economy. Your intellectual property rights. So if you create something, do you own that? And what do you know about ownership when it comes to creating technical solutions or creating, technical works of art, if you will. And the other piece is privacy. How do you understand and manage your privacy? Who has access to your data when you post it online? Those are the 3 aspects of what I would consider, and what the DQ Institute considers, as well as the Coalition for Digital Intelligence considers, digital rights. Now, what's interesting is people often use digital intelligence, digital literacy, and digital skills interchangeably. This model actually looks at digital literacy as a separate component within that wheel of competencies when we're talking about digital intelligence. And one of the things includes data and AI literacy. Now, we know that not everybody is going to be a data scientist. Not everybody is going to jump in the world of AI. That said, you might just be aware of what that competency entails, but you might not actually be a practitioner, and you might not also be empowering others and teaching other people your skills. So as you think about these different big buckets, and then the 3 items that make up these big buckets, you might be aware that this exists, you might have learned it, you might be a practitioner and teaching others. So that's what I mean by you're dialing these skills up and down. So again, under digital literacy, data and AI literacy, the next one would be content creation and computational literacy. When I say computational literacy, what I mean by that is, can you code? Do you understand the introductory building blocks of what it means to code? Have you written a line of code like Hello World, which is only what I've written? Or are you building applications? Are you creating content? Are you building, websites or mobile applications or IoT devices? And are you empowering others to do so after you've learned? So again, that looks at that wheel of competencies. The last component of digital literacy is media and information literacy. So basically what I'm saying here is that being able to recognize media misinformation and disinformation is a component of being digitally literate. So when you get onto Facebook or whatever social platform you fancy, or you get an email, or you get a text, or whatever it is that comes, in a news article. Do you understand and know how to evaluate that article or that piece or that post from your friend to know, is it reputable? Do the sources make sense? Is there something funny about it that, maybe just someone else's opinion? We've heard about, different, farms, if you will, digital farms, existing in certain parts of the world where they're trying to sway you to vote one way or another, or they're trying to sway you from one candidate or another. How is it that you can critically evaluate that article and know, is this real or is this fake? An easy way to do that is you see that article, you go out and you go to Google, you go to Bing, you go to whatever, and you search for that particular topic. And you look and see, is this the only place that it was written? How reputable is that piece? Does it look a little outlandish and crazy? Are there a lot of grammar errors or spelling mistakes? Does the language that you speak, does it sound like you would normally write? These are some of the things that I look for when I determine, is this a valid source or not? In the age of where we get a lot of information from YouTube and a lot of information from bloggers, remember, a lot of that stuff is self-created. How reputable is that material as we go to vote in elections? And that's, extremely important, obviously, right now, as my country, the United States, goes into its elections. A lot of controversy, a lot of divide. How do you make sure that you are being a good corporate citizen by critically evaluating what's in front of you and being a responsible citizen by knowing what you should share, what you should not share, and also helping your friends, your family, and everyone around you understand how to determine whether something is real and fake. And I'll tell you, with the rise of deep fakes, so things that look really real, where it looks like, President Obama, President Trump, Hillary Clinton, whomever else, it looks like their lips are moving exactly. Did you know that you can actually create videos where you can splice things together, make it look like that person is saying it, their mouth may be moving exactly the way you expect it to move, yet it is a deep fake? Or someone has created an AI solution that makes it look like it's a real person, a real kid who's been impacted by something. This is really important when we think about terrorist activities or nefarious characters. So we've went through two of them. The third one is digital communication, public and mass communication. So again, I think that one's highly related to media misinformation and disinformation. How do you know where to get, your information and evaluate it clearly and comprehensively? How do you communicate and collaborate with others as we're all working from home or studying from home or not being able to access the coffee shop or the restaurant, and we've alternated, we've transitioned our lives from one thing to another? How are we using social media? How are we using messaging? How are we using online collaboration tools to communicate and collaborate with others? I use a lot of different things in my daily life. I use Trello, for example, to keep track of timelines and my project management activities. I have colleagues that use Mural to do online whiteboarding. We have Slack for instant communication. We have WhatsApp to communicate with our friends. I use it a lot for work. We use a lot of different tools in addition to just thinking about social media and email. There are a lot of very interesting things. We're using a Zoom platform right now. So how can you, connect with others who are in other parts of the world, or maybe next door, but we can't get over there to see them for a variety of issues that we're all facing with COVID-19. The last piece of digital communication is digital footprint management. How are you managing your footprint online? So if you get online and you post something, where is it going? Where is that post that you made? Is someone taking a screenshot and posting it over somewhere? Do you care about that? Are you, managing your privacy settings on Facebook? For me, I alternate my privacy settings when I'm talking about digital skills or entrepreneurship or training opportunities or tech for good, a job opportunity. I make it public. If I'm posting something that is maybe, me and my kids, I might make that private. I might not want everybody to see that. That said, all my followers can see it. All my followers can screenshot it, and they can do whatever they want to with it, and I may not even know. Recently, someone created a Instagram profile that looked just like my name and stole my pictures. I didn't notice it until someone was next to me and I was typing in my Instagram account so that they could connect with me. So I had their phone. And I saw that there was another M Sassafras. That's my Instagram handle. And it was M Sassafras with an underscore after it. And it was my picture, the same picture that I had in my Instagram. So I clicked on it and I saw all my pictures. So essentially what someone had done was clone my account by taking the pictures and creating an alternative account. So my digital literacy, my digital skills, my digital intelligence told me I need to report that. And I need to talk to my friends to report that. So my friends reported it, I reported it, and I submitted something to Instagram. Within X amount of days, that profile was taken down. But what's interesting is that account blocked me, so I didn't know it existed. I only found out because I had my friend's phone. And I wouldn't have found it if I hadn't had my friend's phone looking for it. That's scary, right? Because how many times are we going into someone else's phone and looking for ourselves and our social media platform? Or figuring out where someone has put some of your pictures. This can often be very scary for young women who have been impacted by someone who might have used artificial intelligence to put their face onto someone else's face. So imagine your face onto someone else's face, looking for it, doing something scary, right? Precarious, or doing something risque that might not have been something that you did, and posted on some site that you might not, find palatable or acceptable for your norms and values. How do you find that? You might never find it. All right. Now we're going to talk about digital emotional intelligence. This is just like emotional intelligence. So just like Daniel Goleman's research, if you haven't read any books by Daniel Goleman, I would recommend it. I love his books. He's got a whole packet on relationship management, etc. Go ahead.
Before we move to the digital intelligence, I like to say that I fully agree with you the points that you made. In fact, especially in the democratic world, from where you and I belong, there are a lot of narrative creation happens, especially around the elections. And in a country like India, the elections are happening every 2 months, and every election is fought like a general election. So if there is a state election, which is a smaller part of India, the impact of that election will have on the next election, which is going to happen after 6 months. And as you know, a country like India has 1.3 billion people, so you can't have one election because there are so many people voting, and the systems availability, machinery, and all that is not possible. So a lot of narrative creation happens throughout the year. And I think you mentioned very valid point in the end, that there is a lot of risk, and you need to know exactly what you're doing on the social media platform. So I just want to ask you, is there a program that is promoted by your team or one of your companies where people can get enrolled and get literate around these aspects?
Media, so I would tell you a couple things. I would go to the dqinstitute.org is what I would recommend. I have seen a lot of, programs that exist that look into different aspects of these. I'm actually building a platform right now. It's not launched yet. It'll be ready. I think based on where I am probably next year, that looks at all of these different competencies and allows you in a gamified fashion to play around with these things and earn badges, be able to share your badges in social media, interact with mentors and peers and others. But if you look at this, there's not one single platform that exists on the planet that allows you to learn in a gamified fashion and earn badges. There are a lot of them out there that take on different components of these. So I think I'd have to look at this and tell you, for this, look at that platform. For this, look at that platform. I saw something on media literacy the other day that I was meaning to go through, a brand new one, and I haven't done it yet. So I would have to look at kind of my notes and tell you, hey, these are the ones, but, perhaps we could write a blog about some of the, deep dives into these, and instead of talk about the framework, or maybe have a special session on media literacy and talk about which platform would be appropriate for the Indian population, because I think some of these things are very location specific. What a person what a farmer in Kenya or a rural farmer in India might need to know might be a little bit different than a young girl in rural Arkansas or a city. But let's table that one, and let's call that one another session, and we'll do a deep dive into media literacy if that works for you.
Sure.
Okay, cool.
You were talking about the intelligence aspect of the digital arena.
Yeah, so this is very similar to regular emotional intelligence. It's got 3 components. It's relationship management. So how do you manage your relationships online? Do you ghost people? Do you respond? Do you fire off too many things to them? Do you spam a lot? How do you manage your relationships online? How do you create something that feels like it's in real life? Do you bring your true self? Because a lot of people don't. Do you create this persona online that's not really you? And is that how you manage your relationships? And do people feel like you're the same person online as you are offline? Not everybody is. Some people create alternative personas. How aware are you of others? How do you push your ideas onto others? Or how do you respond to their ideas? Are you respectful of their ideas? Are they respectful of yours? Do you have empathy? Are you a troll? How do you respond to trolls? These are important things too. As a young person, are you getting cyberbullied? How do you respond to that? What do you do? How do you report it? Where do you go to report it? If you see something quite dangerous online, something potentially violent, a crime, what do you do about that? How do you manage your feelings? And who do you talk to? There are often circumstances that we've seen when a shooting has taken place in the United States or somewhere else, that someone might post an exact video. Maybe that person who committed that crime posts it and shares it. How does that impact people? How does that impact yourself? Should you be sharing some of the things that you share? I've seen, videos of people that might share things that are, extremely disturbing. Do you, indulge in that content? The next piece really goes into security. And that's, how do you manage your own personal security? Your passwords, your password management. Do you tell people where you are at every single moment? I know there are certain places that I might travel to where I don't check in until after I've left. And I do that for my own personal safety. I may do that in many places where I might have left that location an hour ago and I check in as if I'm still there, because I really enjoy, publicizing that I was in this place. I did eat there. I did vacation there. I did spend time there with my friends. Everyone has their own, again, their own comfort level. They dial it down, they dial it up. Think about who all can see where you are, and do you want them to know? I had a situation where I went to a particular city in a particular country to run a coding camp, and it was publicized. It was clear I was there. This made me think about how I manage my own personal safety, because I had an individual who had seen me online, wanted to meet me for alternative purposes than coming and taking part in the coding camp. And so this individual signed up as a photographer and volunteered his skills. And the club, the team that was running this coding camp was like, oh wow, yeah, we need a photographer. It looked legit, it looked fine. In reality, they're trying to get close to me and proclaim his love for me. I'd never met him, I'd never seen him, but he thought he knew me because he saw me on social media. and felt like he knew me, even though we'd never interacted before. So think about these things when you're, sharing where you're going, who you're with, what you're working on. I, again, dial it up and dial it down depending upon the circumstances and where I am. But that situation made me think about it. Network security management. So, there are many different aspects of that. Are you enabling people to gain access to your network at work? How do you keep your work email, your work logins? We saw what happened with a Twitter incident where nefarious characters gained access to different people's social media profiles and posted different things about Bitcoin. How do these, even the most competent people, often get accidentally involved by clicking on a link? How do you make sure that you are looking at that link, hovering over where it came from, and making sure, did that really come from Apple? Did that really come from my bank? If I get a text, if I get an email that is something about a password issue or a missed payment or validate my credit card, I always go directly to that site and log in to see, is there an issue? Most of the time there's not, and most of the time it's a phishing expedition to see, are you going to respond, and are you going to give away your passwords? Are you going to enable someone to gain access to your bank account, your credit card, your personal details, your personally identifiable information, the stuff that people will need in order to take advantage of you, take your money. There are all kinds of nefarious characters out there. Lastly, organizational cybersecurity management. Again, that's probably more about what I said in terms of network security management.
So let me share some experience from my side. What I've noticed is that such nefarious activities have increased, or rather gone up, after the lockdown, because a lot of people are trying to get access to your personal information. And in fact, a lot of telecom operators and also the bank, a lot of other public agencies are, at least in India, I've seen that every second or third day there is an alert that, hey, don't give your KYC, don't share your information. And I think you're making a very valid point. If there is an email sent to me saying that, hey, validate this credit card or something else, I actually look at the website. Like you said, you have to be very conscious. So I actually look at the website, and many times I've seen that there'll be just one additional spelling in it. So for example,
that's exactly right. They're very clever. It may look the same. Look for spelling errors. Look to see if it makes sense. You'll discover that there is a lot of, and many of us get them every day. I get them all the time. I don't 9 times out of 10, I don't even look it up, and I don't do anything. And I figure, hey, if my credit card doesn't work, I'm going to go somewhere and it's not going to work. And then I'm going to discover it, because I know my bank is not going to contact me that way. I set up 2-factor authentication. So whenever you log in from a new device, you have to not just put your password, but you have to authenticate or validate that request, through a phone call, through text, through an email, so that that it's coming and that it's you. Now, we've talked about security. We've talked about being a builder, a creator. We've talked about media misinformation and disinformation. What's interesting is we're going to move on to digital safety. And for me, I kind of look at digital safety and security as one thing. I kind of lump it all in there. And again, we look at behavior, we look at, content, what are you sharing in content that goes out? So am I going to post my social security number, which is something we use to identify ourselves in the US? I'm not. Some people have their birth dates posted everywhere. I don't. I don't have my birthday posted, which means I don't get all those exciting, birthday messages on Facebook, because nobody knows that it's my birthday. So I'm not going to get all those, but that's okay. I don't care. And how am I managing, my community? So is there someone who really doesn't want you to tag them in a particular place? Maybe your friend is a victim of domestic violence. Maybe that person doesn't want anyone to know that they're there, because maybe as a victim of domestic violence, that person might know, wow, so-and-so is here, and now I'm going to go there, and I have the ability to perform violence against that person. So again, I think it's not just about what do you feel comfortable with, but how do others feel as well? And how can you be empathetic to the feelings and thoughts and perceptions of others? I'm going to move on now to digital use, and that's how are you using it how are you using tech and access to the internet from a civic perspective? You know, when it comes to tech for good or social good or being active in the political process. Now, there's a fine line between civic use, encouraging people to vote and that sort of thing, and shoving your idea down somebody's throat. Because when you think about what your political beliefs are, or your religious beliefs, or your whether you eat meat, don't eat meat, whatever your beliefs are, and whatever your value system is, if you are a vegetarian, do you want to see someone telling you how much you should eat meat and how awesome meat is and a picture of a slaughterhouse? You do not want to see that, right? Especially if that is something that religiously is very core to your value system. The same principle applies to politics. How do you make sure that you are open and honest and transparent, but you're not putting people in an uncomfortable situation and making them feel as if you're not listening to their perspectives. I have a lot of friends who post a lot of very, very political things, very charged things, and that's their way, and I respect that. And a lot of people, I do continue to keep them on my social media feed, even if they're different than mine, because I think it is interesting also, even if those beliefs differ from mine, from my morals, from my values. There's a fine line. If someone is sharing child pornography, for example, that's very different. I'm going to report that. If someone is going to post harming an animal, I'm going to report that. Same thing with a human or whatever. If there's very abusive behavior, I'm going to report that. That said, it is nice to understand where do other people come from and respect and be empathetic with their point of view, even if you don't agree to it. And just remember, you can always unfollow someone. If you don't like what they're saying and you don't want to deal with, talking to them about it, you can always unfollow. You don't even need to tell them. You can unfriend if you want. But I also know many people don't feel comfortable unfriending someone because they're afraid that person's going to get mad and notice, and then they're going to have to deal with it and have a conversation. This is where the unfollow comes into play. Yeah, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to talk to you. I still want you in my circle, but I don't want to see your stuff. Naturally, that doesn't exist in Twitter, but there are ways that we can manage these things. If you don't feel comfortable having the conversation with that person who continues to post things that might differ from your personal beliefs.
Recently, I had an experience which I want to share with you. On the LinkedIn, I have many followers personally as a professional. And I don't even know how many people are there in my network. I mean, to be very frank with you. And as you rightly said, you think twice before you unfollow somebody. And there is one person, when we launched our Top Brass Speaker of the Year award, there's one person for no reason started, and that person is a lady. I don't remember who that person is, basically. Maybe I met her many years back, maybe professionally, but she started abusing me on the award that, you are doing this, X, Y, Z. And I said, look, I don't want to talk to you. I didn't even block her or unfollow her. But surprisingly, I got an email from LinkedIn saying that, hey, we have noticed some abusive behavior. Would you like to unfollow that person?
Yeah,
I was
they
like
can,
very.
they can be a bit
Oh,
that
that's
way.
really nice. I didn't
Hello,
know.
Chandra.
I didn't know that they
Were you
did that,
there?
and that I think that's
How's Mumbai?
I think that's great because I think there's a lot of
Very good, sir.
controversy right
And
now
yourself?
around how our social media platforms using our data. And how are they abusing our data? How are they managing
my
trolls
goodness.
or abusive behavior?
That is,
How are they
that is,
monitoring it? How are they
well, I
managing
suppose
it?
for
How are they
him that's
shutting
sort
it
of like
down?
pocket money.
Whether
But,
that's someone who's
for the
continuing
rest of
to
us, it
verbally
sounds like
assault
rather a
you,
large figure,
or someone who is
doesn't it?
trying to use fake news, because this is where
Sounds
fake
like
news
a
comes into
huge
play
figure,
too, is
yeah.
trying to rile you up and get you excited about your candidate
I
so that you'll
read
respond
somewhere
and
that
share and have a lot of
I don't know if anybody else saw this article,
uninformed
whether it's
dialogue.
true or not.
I believe
But
personally
there
that
were
social
two
media
people who
platforms need to play a
invented the
greater
idea
role
of a
in
battery
having
car.
responsibility over their content.
And I
There
think it
are
was two
significant
German people.
amounts of child pornography
And
that
apparently
happen
then,
in social
it
media,
became
in
Tesla
certain
somehow.
circles.
A bit like
Oftentimes,
the social.
you
What
look
was
at
that? The
COVID-19,
Facebook, the
a
start
lot
of
of
Facebook.
misinformation around
It
if you do
started
this, you're going to
somewhere
be
else
cured.
anyway.
And I've
Well,
read a
I
lot of
don't know.
different
I
articles
would
about
hate to say, because I
people who
wouldn't
have been
like to be,
convinced of certain things through social
I wouldn't
media,
wouldn't like to be
respond
the
to someone who
allegedly. I think they say on "Have I Got News for You?" Don't they? Allegedly. Right. There's the torrent of people entering the room seem to have stopped. So I don't know whether we want to start.
I think that's a good idea. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
It is February the 9th already. Where the hell did January go? And we're now into 2021. So, and there are people still arriving.
Yeah, don't worry, I'll get them.
Okay, then. So, as I said, welcome to. We've got members here. We've got new members and we've got visitors. So, welcome to you all.
Hello, this is Chandra
Yeah,
from
I've just
Akul
let,
Technologies.
Walter
Welcome
in.
to Top Brass.
Okay.
Today is
Hello,
day 4,
Walter.
and I'm
Hello.
in company of
Thank you for letting me in.
Raghavendra,
That's
who's
okay.
the group
I
managing
heard you
director
knocking.
of